Hello and welcome to this week's Strange Pathways. I'm your host, Scott Mort. I am having a wonderful week. I hope you're having a wonderful week too. Over on the YouTube channel, we are, as of this recording, one subscriber away from 4,500 subscribers on the Strange Pathways YouTube channel. I am so very excited. That it doesn't seem like a lot, and I know there are a lot of YouTubers out there that have a lot more subscribers than this, but seeing those numbers climb week after week after week, it really does my heart good. It means that there are people out there enjoying this. You're probably enjoying it. I enjoy doing this. It's great. It's absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much. Our first tale is going to take us to Amarillo, Texas, 1950. There are these two boys. A lot of people mistake them for brothers, but they're actually cousins. David Lightfoot, he's 12 years old. Charles Lightfoot, 9 years old. They decide that they want to go fishing one day. It's about 11 o'clock in the morning, and they decide that they're going to go fishing near a creek at the southern boundary of the convalescent home northeast of Amarillo, Texas. Now, they drop their lines in the water, and very shortly after they drop their lines in the water, they look up, and they go, "Oh, man. Look at that balloon. See that balloon?" You know what? I do the same thing to this very day. My wife and I were getting gas the other day, and a balloon just goes flying by. Hey, look, a balloon. I'm 48. I don't buy balloons for myself anymore. But these are a 12-year-old and 9-year-old. This is, and it's 1950. They see a balloon going by. You know, that's a new toy for them. So they see this balloon and they're like looking at it, and they soon start to realize this isn't really a balloon. It's traveling from the south. It's about 20 degrees above the horizon. And then they see it decrease in speed. And they look. It isn't really a balloon. This is a disc. This disc, it decreases in speed a little bit more, and it passes just a few feet over the boys. Now, whenever I first read the story, whenever it said it's passing a few feet, I imagine like this 30, 40, 50-foot wide craft. Right? It wasn't, though. David shouts over to Charlie. He goes, "I'll bet that's one of those flying saucers. I'm going after it." Charlie does not follow. David goes. It circles over them a little bit slowly, and then it disappears over the small hill to the north of where these two children are fishing. David climbs up over the hill. By the time he gets up over the hill, this object has landed. And it's only as big around as a car tire. About as high as his knee. Figure about 18 inches for that. It was rounded on the bottom, and the top part looked like a flat plate. There was two sections to this. The top is separate from the bottom, and there is a space of about 1/2 inch deep. There's a screw going through the middle. The bottom of this craft is still, but the top is spinning really, really fast. Keep that image in your head. Keep that image in your head. The bottom is still, the top is spinning really, really fast. On the top of this, the part that's spinning, there's a little peak. It's still as well. So David's thinking, oh, this top part is connected to the bottom part. It's blue-gray in color. Doesn't really have any openings of any sort other than that space. David reaches out and touches it. It feels slick. He said it felt like a snake, and it was hot. It was hot to the touch. David decides he's going to pick this up and take it with him. It's only the size of a car tire. He can take this. But before he can get a good hold on it, the top begins to spin faster and faster. Pay attention to this. Pay attention to this. The top begins to spin faster and faster and faster. It makes sort of a whistling noise and took off. It goes in a straight line into the northeast. About 5 or 10 seconds. He said it took off like a string had yanked it. In the process of taking off, this thing, it sprays out a gas. And this turns David's arms bright red. And it causes welts on his arms and face. David and Charlie, they run home. They explain to David's father what happened. David's father puts skin balm on the arms and face of David. And the welts gradually disappear. The red stayed, though. Charles, he says this... He didn't get any closer to it than 100 yards. So almost an entire football field away. David kind of thinks that the object was on the ground about 30 seconds. Now, David explained that the small area between the top and the bottom, he said it was really red, like it was on fire in there. Let's talk about this for a second. You have a solid little piece on top, a spinning part in the center, kind of a solid bottom. These kids didn't get a really good look at it, except for David. 30 seconds. Close enough to get hit by it. You know, some sort of spray that it emitted. Some sort of gas. About as big as a car tire. Now, is it just me? Or does this sound an awful lot like the drones we have today? If I would go out in the woods right now and I would see something on the ground, solid little bump on the top, spinning middle, solid bottom, and it kind of makes a whistling noise as it goes up, yanked like it's pulled away on a string, no real wobble, that's a drone. That's a remote-controlled drone. That's something I could probably go to Best Buy. In 20 minutes, I could be at my local Best Buy. Pick up a drone. But this was 1950. This was 1950. This, with the gas too, this reminds me an awful lot of another case that I've studied. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, it reminds me of two cases. It reminds me of Stan Michalik's Falcon Lake incident, where a UFO spit gas out at him, and it burned him on a grid pattern in the stomach. And you know what, Texas? This reminds me of the Cash Landrum case, which, if you don't know, mother, grandmother, child, they see a diamond-shaped UFO, and they all get heavy doses of radiation poisoning. They got cancer. Going back once again to this stuff ruins lives. But is this a drone? What would a drone be doing all the way in 1950? Or is it just one of those coincidences where it was some sort of alien craft, but it just happened to look like our modern drones today? Time slip? Possibly. This case interests me because it feels like so many other cases. It feels like it would be nothing today. Except for the burning, of course. But I mean, I can't get it out of my head that what these two kids in the 1950s saw was a drone from our time. It's too similar. It's very odd. Our next tale takes us all the way back to 1687, North Cornwall, England. There's a young servant, Jacob Mutton. Now, he's in the employ of William Hicks, who is the rector of Cardingham. This is May 8th, 1687. Reverend Hicks had done pretty good for himself. He had a number of servants that would fetch stuff for him, carry tools. They would wait on him. He had good social standing. Jacob Mutton, he was happy. He was happy in the service of Reverend Hicks. Reverend Hicks treated him well. He'd put in a hard day's work, May 8th, 1687, and he got ready for bed at 8 o'clock. His bedroom's in the attic. He's tired. He climbs the stairs, goes to the attic bedroom. He shares it. He shares it with another servant. He begins to undress, and he's pulling off his socks, and he hears a voice calling. He hears this voice going, "Soho, Soho, Soho." Little song that they would sing whenever they were hoeing the garden. But it's pretty late to be doing gardening. The voice sings out again, "Soho, Soho, Soho." Jacob looks over at his roommate. Roommate is dead asleep. He decides to go over to the next room, see what he can see out the window. Jacob goes to the window. He leans out to see if he can see this gardener who's weirdly gardening so late at night. He clasps the iron window bar so he can kind of like lean against it to stop himself from falling out. And the next thing he knows, it's morning. He's a little confused, and he's in a hedge. In his hand is the window bar. He looks over. He doesn't recognize anybody he sees. Jacob goes, "Where am I? What's that smell?" And these strangers go, "That's wild garlic. You're near Stratton." Stratton's about 30 miles away from where he lives. He's stunned. He goes, I can't be. And they go, yeah, you're in Stratton. Now remember, this guy was getting undressed and ready for bed. He's got like night clothes on, but he's got no socks. Remember, he was taking off his socks. He doesn't have any shoes on. He's got no money. All he's got are the pajamas that he's wearing and the iron bar that he was clutching onto. He decides, I don't want people thinking I'm going to hurt them. I'm going to leave this iron bar in the hedge. Jacob sets about making the long walk home. He tags along with a traveling couple. But for the most part, he walked home. Took him 2 days. Whenever he finally gets home, he goes, I've been to Stratton. He gets a bowl of water to soak his feet. Gets a fresh pair of socks. Jacob never remembered how he got to Stratton. There was a bit of a change. There was a bit of a change in him. Normally, Jacob was a happy, nice, joyous young man. But after this, he kind of became withdrawn, dour. He kind of got lost in his own thought. When others would ask him, "Are you able to remember anything of that night?" He says he's vaguely able to remember that a tall man had taken him out over the land like they were flying. And in our last story, I said, okay, this reminds me of the drones we have today. This reminds me of alien abductions today. This reminds me of missing time. Is that what happened? Is Jacob a victim of an alien abduction? I mean, this really feels kind of Travis Walton-y, if you ask me. But it could be just a case of teleportation. There was a case in 1926 that anytime the case, Jacob Mutton case, is reported, for some reason these two cases kind of go hand in hand. It was the French swimmer Simone Leville, and she was trying to swim the English Channel. Now, they had a rescue boat follow Simone. And while she's out in the water, Simone Leville just kind of starts to fade away. And then disappears completely. They do a search. I mean, it's all hands on deck. search, and Simone cannot be located anywhere. 18 crew members watched this woman fade away. 3 hours later, Simone is found in a farmer's pond 17 miles south of London. No memory. No memory as to how she ended up there. We like to think that we live in a solid reality. That A leads to B leads to C. You get in your car, you go to work, you come home, you go to bed. You wake up, you do it all again. But I'm starting to realize, it's really starting to sink in. Reality is not as solid as any of us would like to believe. Reality is very fluid. And at any moment, something can happen that just bends reality. And then it bends back, but you're out of place. It's a thought that keeps me up at night. That I don't even have to be asleep. At any moment, reality could shift. If a man can lean out a window and wake up 30 miles away, what's from stopping me tonight walking down the steps to use the bathroom and ending up floating in the vacuum of space? If reality isn't solid, like we all like to believe it is. Our last tale is going to take us to rural Alabama, July 1939. I got this case from gendereye.org. It's this website that just has like case after case after case. Very Cliff Notes type stuff. You know, this guy saw this craft on this date. These individuals saw a leaping man in dark clothing at this time. But this one kind of caught my eye. This story comes from a retired FBI agent. The FBI had gotten reports that there was a fortune teller in Alabama who was incredibly accurate. The fortune teller seems to have been able to tell people about military secrets that they knew, and only they knew. Think about how dangerous that is. If you know about a military operation that's coming up, where it's imperative that only you and the men you're taking know that it's happening. And then this little old fortune teller says, "Oh yeah, good luck on your top secret mission Tuesday at 1800 hours." The FBI is sent to investigate. So these agents, they go to this fortune teller's home. They find her sitting on the front porch. The agents go up to the bottom of the steps, say, "Ma'am, we're here from the FBI. We'd like to ask you a few questions." She smiles back at them. I'll answer your questions. I'm no fortune teller, but I can read minds. I've been reading minds for a very long time. They ask her where she's from. She says, another world. And then they ask her, if you're from another world, what are you doing here? Just kind of rocks back and forth, smiles a bit, and says, I'm guarding something. It doesn't concern humans, though. At this point, the FBI agents, they kind of confer with each other a little bit, and they say, we're going to take you in for questioning. She looks at him and goes, I'm not going to go with you. The lead agent goes to one of the men. He goes, Agent, I order you to take that woman and put her in the back of my car. The agent begins to walk up the steps of the porch, but he gets part way up. Suddenly, he starts to shake. He falls to the ground. He's having convulsions. The fortune teller, mind reader, alien, whatever she is, she just stays sitting on the porch. And she tells them, if you make any further attempts, none of you will leave here alive. Everybody's panicking. So the agents agree. The convulsions stop. The agent stands up. He's unharmed. But before they leave, the agents ask for proof that she was from another world. She goes, okay. Go back to your office. Pick an area of 100 square miles. Put markers around it. And you make sure no airplanes fly over that area. The agents leave. They report everything to their superiors. And some of the agents are sure they're going to be laughed at. But no, their superiors take it seriously. And they do exactly what she asked of them. They send the agents out to this deserted area to find the proof that and I'm going to use this term loosely, it's just used to identify her, the fortune teller. They go out to where the fortune teller is leaving her proof. They find the 100 square miles devoid of life. There are no birds. There are no bugs. There are no plants. There's nothing. The agents are a little freaked. This woman has just gone from curiosity to national security threat to living weapon. 100 square miles gone. No life at all. None. Sterilized. The superiors look at the agents and they go, forget it. Forget the entire thing. Never attempt to contact this woman ever again. Is the fortune teller still there? Somewhere in rural Alabama, is there a little ramshackle hut with a little old woman sitting on the steps with the power to end us all with a blink of her eye? Thank you for joining us this week on Strange Pathways. Please head over to the Facebook page. I'm going to have some links, some photos dealing with this week's cases. If you'd like to contact me, you can do so at strangepathwaysmail@gmail.com. Head over to the YouTube, like, comment, subscribe. 4,500 subscribers very soon over there. Makes me very, very excited. Thank you once again for listening. Take care of yourselves and each other.